say no limits Texas. As if anyone's afraid of the limit. Bigger banking, bigger screens, a bigger show. You show up to Texas Motor Speedway, and the only limit is yourself.
See, it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either stopped. Not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed. Free ride in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead. We head down to the first corner.
Has no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slipping.
Side by side for the race lead. 54, 48 through 3 and 4. Working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here.
Yes, if we ran off the track in the final quarter, that'll allow Fuller to get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller toward turn 1, and Sanfilippo hangs on. He's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try here, boys. They're going to do it. Briscoe backs out. They touch. They're going to crash. Briscoe going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall, and Sarah Testa hits him as well. And big damage on these cars. That's huge.
Before people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, trying to then run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in front of the car.
James Houghton looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. A bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide off of this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door. Banging doors. Fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
It's finally time for the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series to come to an end. 15 rounds. We're all the way down here in Fort Worth, Texas at Texas Motor Speedway for the season finale. And the last couple weeks have been aggressive racing for 3 drivers to find their way to the top of the standings. And as we come into the evening tonight, the 3 drivers we're talking about, Shane Terrian, Michael Stroll, and Thomas Bressi, all mathematically capable of winning the championship tonight after racing at Daytona, Kentucky, Watkins Glen, Iowa, Homestead, New Hampshire, Darlington, Charlotte, North Wilkesboro, Talladega, Road America, Atlanta, Lucas Oil Raceway Park, Michigan, Bristol, and finally Texas. It's time to end it. The Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series finale begins now. Welcome to Sim TV. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined tonight by Connor Horn for our 134-lap final race of the season before we enter the holiday break and kick things off in 2021. Connor, welcome back. Lots to talk about tonight, but first things first, let's get down to the racetrack and have a look here at the qualifying order. And the driver that needs to have a good night tonight, Shane Terrian, all he's got to do is basically just finish this race in a semi-good position.
Yeah, he really just has to have no mistakes. He can't afford to be racing people extra aggressively. He's just you're gonna see a lot of him just really letting people go and run their own race. He's just here, basically needs just to finish the race with his car in one piece, and he'll probably be the champion. But we've seen weirder things happen for sure. You never know what could happen. Michael Stroll, Thomas Bressi, 2 very fast drivers. They could easily maybe slip there into points out of nowhere. You really don't know what to expect, especially from a track as unique as Texas with the new configuration. You really just never know what to expect.
Well, I think one of the drivers we have to keep our eye on tonight is Thomas Bressi in the number 24. Mathematically the furthest back in the championship, so he's got a tall hill to climb and will need some luck tonight, as will Michael Stroll. But if Shane Terrian has problems, and that is a discrete possibility, then it could be anybody's race at the front of the field. So Bressi works his way around the back straightaway here in qualifying to try to log a lap before the end here. Some keys to the race we'll go over in a minute, but this is the newer version of Texas, Connor, and with it brings a whole host of problems and challenges for these drivers tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for a lot of these drivers to get used to how the banking is through turns 1 and 2. I look at it as sort of like a reverse Kentucky, with how turns 1 and 2 very flat, very wide, sort of like Kentucky's turns 3 and 4. And then Texas's turns 3 and 4 are pretty flat out, similar to turns 1 and 2 at Kentucky, a bit backwards in that sense. The tire saving is going to be very crucial. You have to be really thin on your entry. You got to be really stable, especially on your entry into 3, which Bressy isn't.
Big slide into turn number 4. He will go for a trip through the grass. He will qualify no better than second, but it's still a front row start for Bressy. Let's have a look here at our track map real quick before we get into the racing here tonight. You talked about it, 1.5 miles, but the big changes here in recent years, Connor, the banking adjustment, turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, very different from each other. This track is a lot wider in one place than it used to be, Connor, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's any easier to race at. It's actually, in fact, probably gone more single groove in recent years. So that's going to bring a challenge tonight, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. But pretty standard quad oval racetrack, at least on paper, but you get down on the track and the way it drives, totally different than the way it used to race.
It's going to be a big learning curve for anyone who has never driven this new configuration. Turn 1 can catch you out. You think you can enter right next to that outside wall and then just swoop down to the very bottom of the track to get a nice arc, but you will not hit the bottom of the racetrack if you don't enter correctly. You have to enter very, very shallow to make sure you can get down to that white line, pretty much wrap that white line all the way through turns 1 and 2 and stay shallow on exit. You have to be really low to make this corner absolutely perfectly, so I feel like a lot of drivers are going to struggle doing that.
The drivers lining up here on pit lane to begin the gridding process. Again, this is the season finale, 134 laps of racing. Let's talk starting lineup here. We'll go through row by row. On the front row tonight, Brian Chambliss in the number 25 and championship competitor Thomas Bressy on the outside of row 1 in the number 24 car.
A great qualifying effort from Chambliss. I'm not sure if he's ever gotten a pole, but meanwhile, your points leader with about a 26-point lead, Shane Terrian, alongside Chad Simpson on that second row.
Colin Fambro and Hayden Pistorius make up row number 3 in 5th and 6th. Fambro in the 5 as we roll on to row 4.
Yep, row 4, Michael Stroll, Tyler Hensley. Michael Stroll, he's a bit back there. He's, I believe, the closest to Shane Terrian to get that championship potentially away. Then the 5th row, Mitch Welker, Finney DeCuna, and then the final qualifier, Robert F. Kenny, alongside Raleigh Thompson.
Yeah, from there on back, no qualifying drivers. They all just line up towards the tail of the grid. So let's have a look here at the weather information in just a minute. We'll let the race information scroll on through. This racetrack, Texas Motor Speedway, constructed in 1995, so one of the newer racetracks on the NASCAR schedule. Of course, it's changed a couple times since then. Fort Worth, Texas, population of just under 1 million people. And it's going to feel like all of them are watching here tonight as the last of the grid rolls along the bottom of your screen. About 20 entrants here tonight. We already talked about it. 4 turns, 1.5 miles worth of brand new pavement to race on this evening. And the big discussion always when you come here is the size of the TV screen on the back straightaway, one of the largest in the country. As the field rolls off, some keys to the race here, Connor. First up, implications. Championship on the line tonight for Michael Stroll and Thomas Bressy. They're going to basically need to go out and win and also have Shane Terrian have issues, so it's going to be a tall hill to climb. Green flag runs, only 20 cars, 134 laps. This race is probably going to go pretty green the way that Texas races usually go. And how do you pass at a track like this? It's wide, but it's very single groove racing.
Yeah, very single groove, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see it initially from the very first lap. Drivers really fighting to get to that white line into turns 1 and 2. Might even see drivers get together with each other just because of how difficult and how crucial it is to get to that white line. You really want to set it up. I would believe you kind of want to set it up and in turns 3 and 4, as weird that sounds. Turns 3 and 4 is very flat out, but if you can get a run on someone out of 4, you can dive under them before you get to turn 1. They have no choice but to really just let you by.
So the field rolls through turns 3 and 4. Bressy on the front row alongside Brian Chambliss in the number 25. And the field lining up 10 rows deep. The final race of the season in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. It's been a wonderful season. Thank you so much for joining us on Tuesday nights. More to come in 2021 as the field rolls off. It's time to go racing from Texas one final time this year. Green flag flies and we're racing in the Lone Star State. So far, so good. Brian Chambliss leads the way. Bresci slots in behind. Terry in third. Fambro holds on to fourth as Pistorius and Simpson look for a way around. Behind them, Michael Stroll needs to drive up forward. The clinch scenario is 4 tonight. Shane Terrian needs to finish 12th or better to clinch automatically. If he finishes 4th at halfway, or 5th at halfway with a lap led, or 6th at halfway with a lap led in pole position, he would clinch, but he did not win the pole, so only the first 2 of those apply. So basically, Terrian, if he finishes worse than 12th, the opportunity is open. If he finishes better than 12th, there's no opportunity. He clinches the championship.
He's going to try really hard to make sure that opportunity is not even possible. He's definitely one of the faster drivers all season long. Don't let those rookie stripes fool you. He has been the man to beat pretty much all season long, especially in these playoffs. Look at the run Bresci's got for the race lead.
Here he comes, the 24, driving for his life on the underside of the 25 at Chambliss into turn 3. He's got the points leader behind him, and Thomas Bresci is going to try to be the first of the top 3 to claim lap sled points tonight. He's going to come out of turn number 4 across the line. Terry now goes to second, or he's going to try. Bresci leads lap number 3.
Going to be crucial points for him, but unfortunately he's going to bring Terry in with him. Chambliss just can't fight on that outside. Look how much grip there isn't on that outside. Just has to let the 83 go.
Some drivers fanning out behind again. I think you touched on it, Connor. There's not really a lot of grip outside of that inside groove. Shane Terrian goes to second. He's going to look up underneath and try to get the nose underneath the 24 Bresci. Still a lot of full throttle. Big bobble there by the 24. We saw him spin in qualifying in a similar position. He hangs on that time, but Terrian closes the gap just slightly.
The one thing that didn't change from the reconfiguration of this track is there's a bit of a bump in the middle of turn 4. If you hit that awkwardly, you're going to be very sideways and you're going to be wheeling it out of that turn, and Bresci's been struggling with it even in qualifying like we saw.
Riding on board, Shane Terrian, points leader, going to look up underneath the 24 into turn 3. The door was open, but Bresci drives off in there. Look at the bobble again, though. Shane Terrian sees that weakness. I think that's blood in the water for the second place driver and first place in the championship.
And I think this is really by design. I really don't think Terrian's looking for a pass into turn number 3. That's really all about saving tires. That entry that Thomas Bresci's taking, a very wide arc, not good for that right front tire. Terrian keeping it smooth, keeping it slender. He's doing a really good job saving that right front for the very long run. And even then, he's still faster than the 24.
Here he comes up into turn number 3, drives it in hard, and completes the pass by the middle of turn 3. Bresci backs out, says, take it now, I'm going to come get you later, as they come out of turn 4 to complete lap number 6. Now Chambliss knocking on the door for second place again.
Bresci's going to have to be really careful about burning that right front tire off. He's kind of going to have to follow the 83 a little bit, figure out what the 83 is doing better than him that he's going to be able to pull away from him on the long run. So Bresci's got a lot of learning to do if he wants to knock off the 83.
Behind them, some battles for position going on. There's Tom Bourne in the number 84. Up underneath the 76 of Mitch Welker, who is the winner from Atlanta Motor Speedway back a couple weeks ago. It got him in the Fuel Finals, but he has not had a whole lot of success since then. On the fence out of turn number 4, gets the wall pretty good.
Yeah, Hensley got loose. The 84 Tom Bourne kind of shoved him up the track a little bit. Mitch Welker trying to give as much room as he could. It just ran out of room there. That turn 4 wall comes out and just bites you when it wants.
So Welker will drop behind the 44. There's the 50 of Casey Lakatos. Running a nicely detailed number 50 Toyota Supra. Another car that looks somewhat similar to that is Finian D'Acuna in the number 94. Kind of joined mid-season after being on the broadcast team for the first part of this season. Now running in 13th after starting in 10th, so a slight rearward drop for D'Acuna.
I was just struggling a little bit trying to get used to what the car needs to do into these corners. It's really hard to adapt to a track that's just this completely unique and unknown.
High goes Christopher Matthews at the exit of turn number 2. Going to catch the fence as well. That's a pretty sizable hit. And that'll damage the right side of that car significantly. Let's jump back up front. Terry and Bresci, Chambliss. Now Chambliss wanted second spot back, and he has not let Bresci breathe a little bit.
I think he's just letting him sort of ride in front of him a little bit. I think Chambliss knows how vital it's going to be to save these tires. So I think he's just seeing what Bresci's doing. I think he knows what's going to happen to that 24 machine on the long run. Even then, the 25 still faster on the exit of turn 2 right there.
Side by side down the backstretch, nose up the inside of the quarter panel. Going to chuck the car off in. Camaro versus Camaro, and the yellow one goes through. And Rainbow number 24 will drop down to 3rd. So Shane Terrian, again, the scenario for him to clinch the championship tonight, if he finishes 12th or better, it doesn't matter what what Bresci does or what Michael Stroll does. If he finishes 12th or better, it's game over. The 83 wins the championship.
Looking very unlikely unless some big wreck happens, some big catastrophe to be 83. I know it's a bit early to be saying that, but it's looking really tough just to beat him for the win, not just in case he finishes outside the top 10 somehow. He's looking very strong. You know, so was that 25. Chambliss had a really good run through 3 and 4.
Yeah, great run for the 25. Also thinking about reliability, the 83 car has not had a lot of dramas this year. There's some drivers, like if you think to the Outsider Racing League, who's on the hood of the 25 car in second, there's a lot of drivers in that series that have had reliability issues, whether it's with hardware or internet or otherwise, that could take them out of a championship. That's not been the case for Terry in this season. He's pretty much finished almost everything that he started, so I just don't see bad luck claiming the 83, and I think it's going to have to be something that he causes or him making a crucial mistake, but I just don't see that happening. Terrian's my favorite, my pick to win tonight, Connor. Not only the championship, but the race too.
Yeah, I think he's going to go for the full sweep. You don't need to win the race to win the championship, as we already talked about. It's not that sort of chase, but he's definitely tried to put an exclamation point on a just undoubtedly dominant season he's really had. In his rookie season in Fuel, he's definitely shown up.
Yeah, and you talk about the championship format. Unlike a lot of the elimination style formats we've done in the past, whether it's Fuel or otherwise, none of that funny business this time. Basically, the drivers that are in the Fuel finals just race it out the old-fashioned way, and I sort of like that. It rewards consistency, and that's one thing Shane Terrian has had more than anybody else this season. Now, I will take your attention to the wins column, is that he and Tyler Hensley both have 2 victories on the season. However, Hensley has not been nearly as consistent, so I think that's what's going to win Terry in the championship, but Chambliss wants the race lead.
Yeah, 83 had a big moment. He completely missed the white line through 1 and 2 and had to really breathe the throttle at a turn 2. That's something you have to be careful of. It is crucial. You talked about it already. You got to get to that white line or else you're going to drift up into the outside wall, which 83 almost did.
That's what 175 miles an hour looks like as they streak by the start-finish line. Through turn 1, Chambliss was close. You know, he was even closer as Colin Fambro on the rear bumper of the 24 of Bresci. 3rd place now under attack.
Fambro looking really fast as we come to a bit of a middle run in this run. The 24 just not looking that great. He keeps hitting that bump pretty harshly. Does not have the runs out of turns 2 and 4 to really get any ground on those top 2. And he's really under attack from the 5. He's going to shove him into turn number 1.
Up the inside, the 5 car dives up underneath. He won't be able to take that position yet. The highest running Mustang of the group right now. In 4th place as it stands, he'll get that run. That's where Bresci's been weak, is on corner exit so far tonight, Connor. He's had good runs on the entry and middle of the corner, but then sacrifices the exit in order to kind of chuck the car down there. So that's going to hurt him right now as Fambro gets alongside.
He's really racing Fambro hard right now. He almost chopped him into turn number 3. He's going to stick to the outside right here. So let's see if Fambro's going to keep it chucked down to the inside. I don't know how much Bresci's going to really have to fight for. He sends it into turn 1, hard onto the brakes, as you can see right there. And Fambro, they're going to be dead even out of turn 2 here.
And how much is this worth to Bresci right now? Is this a fight worth fighting? I would say probably. I mean, again, I think this race is going to go relatively green, so I think it's worth fighting every position. And I don't think this is going to be a strategic challenge this evening. I think you're just going to run the tank out of fuel, come get tires once or twice, and call it a night. So I don't think there's a lot of wiggle room for Bresci to say, I'll come get him later. I think you got to fight for it. I just don't think you're going to get that opportunity later.
I think he's just got to focus on following people right now. He needs to learn a lot about the track. He needs to learn how to save these tires, because right now we're not even that deep into what we assume that's going to be a long run. He really is already starting to struggle early in this run, so he's going to be really in deep trouble if he can't find that pace.
And speaking of, we talked about pit stops and strategy. Well, I think there's one thing to consider is that it's going to be nighttime at some point. I mean, if you have a look at the night sky here, or the evening sky, the sun is setting. Right now, the track temperature is 81 degrees. That might cool off just a little bit. I don't think it's going to massively change the handling on these cars, but it might be enough that we might see a change in tire wear that could influence your decision. Meanwhile, behind, Hayden Pistorius has his hands full with a group of 4, Simpson, Welker, Lakatos, and Hensley. 3 Supras and a Camaro chasing that number 9.
There's a really big packed up line right now as Pistorius kind of hits that bump 3 and 4. And the one driver who's pulled away from that whole line, Tom Bourne, who's in the 6th position right now, all the way up from where he started in 15th, up 9 spots in just 20 laps.
Yeah, good climb for him, and it's 9 spots forward. And I think he'll continue that climb. Right now, he's actually faster than the race leader, and so is the 25 of Brian Chambliss, as Shane Terrian has established himself as the race leader, 0.3 of a second out front. Behind him, here's Lakatos and Hensley trading positions. This is for 10th.
a really tight race. You got to be careful because you never know when a car is just going to slip up and get really loose out of a corner. You're going to have no time to check up. Simpson's going to go to the inside of Pistorius here for that 7th position. 42 is going to have a really good shot in that bottom, so preferred lane.
Look at Mitch Welker just up the road trying to dive up underneath on exit. There's a great battle there going on for 8th place, and here comes the 76 to the bottom of the racetrack trying to be a factor.
He's going to go for a late dive. Pistorius going to just completely chop his nose there. See how much Mitch Welker had to get out of a gas to avoid that. I saw a bit of a slide down the line, but Chad Simpson finally threw past Pistorius. I think the 9 might be dropping.
Behind them, a couple more drivers fighting for position. Surprised at Riley Thompson's perceived lack of pace here today. And he is a driver that is in the Fuel Finals, but running 12th, or running 13th after starting in 12th, this has just not been an amazing day for him. And looking at the point situation, he's down in 9th in points. And given his relative speed this season, I'm surprised that he has just had not what I would consider a very successful Fuel Finals, which is, I'm sure he's disappointed in. But I think there's a lot of opportunity to climb forward tonight. Back up front, here comes Chambliss for the lead.
And Chambliss kind of saved his stuff a little bit, got a feel for what he needed to do, and he's starting to put up another challenge here to the points leader, Shane Terry. And he's definitely Chambliss is definitely a driver who's going to race him with respect, not going to race him more hard than he actually has to.
And Chambliss, I think we probably were too quiet about him to start. I mean, looking at his season, he is in 5th in the points, quietly running there this season. He's started 15 races. He's had 7 top 10s and 3 top 5. So it's been a fairly decent season for him, but the overall pace just, I don't think, has been race winning. But tonight, showed up, won the pole, and I think he's here to party.
Yeah, he's really looking sharp here, trying to get a win here. I don't believe he's had a win in the Fuel Series, the Mission 22 Series, so it would be a big exclamation point to a really solid season by him. He's got a big run out of turn 40, 83 slipped up.
Yeah, he turned hard left on that corner exit too. He saw the opportunity, the door open, and he just decided to throw the car down there and take it. Side by side for the lead into turn 1. Terry going to try to squeeze him down on the bottom. And it's going to be a drag race down the backstretch here in the Lone Star State, but I think Chambliss will have this pass completed.
I think it's in Terrian's best interest to just get behind him here into 3, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Not going to even bother on the outside, just get back behind him and give him 25 to lead.
And we're playing the long game here. I don't think your position on lap 25 is going to be super important. I think if you're Terrian, maybe you burned up your stuff too quick and you know to conserve, or maybe you're running at a pace that you're comfortable with and you're going to let Chambliss burn off his stuff. Either way, when these tires start to wear, and they will wear, we're already 2 seconds off our best times, I think you're going to have to figure out how much you want to push your car on the opening laps of a run, if it's worth it to get that track position. But I'm seeing a lot of tire drop-off, Connor. Not something I was honestly expecting tonight.
Yeah, this is a track, you got to be really careful with the tire saving. How much you work the right front in that flat corner, so turns 1 and 2, you can really kill that right front, and maybe even at risk of a tire blowout. Not really quite sure, never seen one at a track like this, but you really never know. You have to be, that's why these thin entries are so key. Tom Bourne's doing it very well, getting to the white line pretty immediately. Thomas Bresci just can't find his way to that white line, and you can see it's just really costing him right now. All the way back to the 5th position, Michael Stroll got by him a little bit ago, and he is just 10th off right now.
Change for position. Hayden Pistorius had to back out of it, got the car out of the rubbered-in line, and slid way up the racetrack, and he's sliding through 3 and 4, got on the apron there, and Hensley's going to take opportunity, and he'll try to grab 10th. Make that.
Yeah, that bump really catches you out, and that's what he hit. He hit that bump, and that bump kind of jolts the track up a little bit. That apron just goes that little extra bit up the racetrack, and it really catches you by surprise.
And up the road, Mitch Welker having another look here at the Daytona winner, Chad Simpson. Simpson led some laps at Daytona, won that race, and put himself in position. Oh, there's a touch there as they head through 3 and 4. More touches, maybe frustration already out of the 76.
Yeah, I think Mitch Welker's been behind him for a while and just hasn't been able to get an opportunity to pass. And yeah, I think that is frustration. That's how frustrating of a track this is. We talked about how the Chicagoland race for the Outsiders Racing League, how it's frustrating to pass there just because of the runs you get and the draft and all that. But this is frustrating to pass just because of a track configuration of how flat these corners are, how planted everyone is on the bottom. It gets really frustrating real quickly.
Yeah, definitely gave him a boot there for a second coming through 3 and 4 as they head on through once again. This is coming out of turn 4 again. There's more contact. There was a 76 gets that fender there and now peeks up under the inside quarter panel. Mitch Welker means business.
Yeah, he's going to just dive to the inside here. Chad Simpson, I think he knows not to completely chop him. 76 going to drive him to the racetrack a little bit, kind of get his point across, like, hey, I'm faster than you. Let me go right now, or you're not going to like the outcome. But Simpson's going to hold hard on the outside.
Getting aggressive for what is 7th spot right now. And we talked earlier, one of our keys to the race was how do you pass? I think Mitch Welker answered that question. Not with the Toyota badge on the nose of the car is how you make that pass, and it worked.
Big moment. Bresci had a big moment under pressure from the 84, Tom Bourne. Bourne just really has a lot of pace right now, and Bresci is the exact opposite, really falling through the field. As 84 going to get all over his back bumper as Bresci once again missing that white line.
Yeah, I think Bresci's struggling. We've seen this be a common pattern pretty much everywhere, whether it's a road course, a short track, or an intermediate track. He just struggles with long-term pace. He'll shoot out of a cannon on the initial start and drive out to the front, but he struggles to keep the rear, especially the right rear tire out underneath him. He drives aggressively, he drives in hard and ends up burning up the good years. So I think this is going to be a struggle tonight, especially with long green flag runs. I don't think this plays into Bresci's strengths, and combined with Terrian's solid run so far, this is looking less and less likely for Bresci's championship hopes.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Michael Stroll's got the better chance of doing anything with the 83, and we've seen improvement. This has always been a problem for Bresci since the new tire kind of came into existence in iRacing, and he has definitely improved this season. He's shown more promise. He won at Charlotte, a mile-and-a-half track that needs a lot of tires to him. He's definitely shown improvement, but he just has those races here and there where he just drives way too over-aggressive and just burns that right front, right rear, whichever tire it is, just way too much.
He swung out a little bit wide in turn 1. I don't think this is a corner you really arc. I think you kind of have to enter low and exit low. Oh, tight coming out of turn number 2. That got dicey for the race lead. Here comes Chambliss on the outside trying in 3 and 4.
I think that's Terrian actually going to the inside out of turn number 2 there. I think he caught back up to Chambliss. I think he let the 25, I think he rode a little, let the 25 see what he could do, and he just took it right back. And I think he sees the Michael Stroll and Colin Fambro machines coming.
Yeah, Fambro right now, last time by, was one of the quickest cars in the top 5. The quickest car last time by was actually Michael Stroll in the number 8. So remember the scenarios that if Shane Terrian finishes 12th or better, nothing Stroll or Bresci does can get them the championship. Terrian would win. If Terrian finishes 12th or worse, there is a scenario in which Stroll or Bresci could win the championship. It's an unlikely one, but one nonetheless. Across the line, 100 laps to go here in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series season finale. Terrian leads by 0.3 of a second through turn number 1.
Yeah, one thing that's really going to be important, if this does go green for the majority of the way, we get the green flag pit stops. The 83 has to know, do not make a mistake. You don't need to have the perfect pit entrance or pit exit just because you want to win the race. You don't have to win the race. 12th or better. He just has to make sure he gets on and off the pit road with absolutely no mistakes. If he does that, there's no reason that he shouldn't be the champion.
Well, we talked to him last week after the race at Bristol, and he basically told us, he goes, yeah, I don't really need to do a whole lot next week. I just need to show up, do my job, and I'll be fine. I don't think he's treating this race with a whole lot of pressure, but my fear is that if you treat it too normally, you can let something slip by you. So I think Terrian should keep his guard up this race, just in case there's a strategy decision that he makes towards the end that can hurt him. What is going to help him is drivers like Will Roberts and Mike Hurley that did not take the green flag. And Calvin Filarski's already 23 laps down and seemingly out of the race. So I think that helps Terrian's case. He's getting to the point now where, even if he has something go wrong, it's not really that risky of a situation.
He just needs to, like we were talking about, just really do his, like he said, even do his thing. If he just does what he's been doing pretty much all season and all of his starts, he's going to have a really solid run, as we've seen him do over and over again. He's just able to outmaneuver everyone on these long runs. He knows how to save the tires. He knows how to keep a steady pace. He knows when he needs to go, and he knows when he needs to just stay in line, really. So a very smart driver, and it's shown all season long.
Well, I'm watching Mitch Welker continue his climb forward. He was the winner from Atlanta a few weeks ago, another mile-and-a-half racetrack, and I don't think they could get a whole lot more different as it stands. They're both quad ovals, but that's about where the similarities end. Welker ran well there, and the reason why I think he ran well was tire management. So far, this has been a tire management race from what we've seen, and Welker is automatically sort of kind of logging into that capability again and climbing forward 9th to 5th and flying right now.
He's had really good pace at the mile-and-a-half tracks. The only mistake he's made today is hitting the wall out of turn 4 the one time we were watching when he was 3 wide. Meanwhile, we got a battle for second. Brian Chambliss seems like he's starting to fall off that cliff with the tires. Colin Fambro just absolutely storms right by him.
Yeah, that'll make an easy pass for Fambro, put him into second place. A driver we haven't really considered all that much. He's definitely in the finals. He's definitely, or at least at one point, was a championship contender. Comes into the night down the order in 8th in the championship, but has had a pretty good season regardless and would love to cap it off with a race win. He and Brian Chambliss and Michael Stroll are the only ones inside the top 10. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's a few other drivers, but doesn't have a win, and I'm sure he'd like to cap it off with one.
All right, Chambliss looking really strong. Actually, no, excuse me. Stroll's looking really strong on the bottom, but Fambro might be looking like the best car on the track. Michael Stroll tried to get to the bottom, but Chambliss even gave him a little bit of a bump in turns 1 and 2, but couldn't get it done. He's going to swing high, come low a little bit here, try to get the run out of 4. It's not going to work.
Cross the line and complete lap number 40. We're kind of closing in on our first pit stop sequence. I don't think you play a lot of strategy tonight. I think 4 tires and 4 Mr. Feelgoods and some Sunoco race fuel. I think you're in a good spot. I mean, I don't really know if there's a lot you can do. Later in the race, maybe that's a consideration if there's a late race caution, but no caution so far. Don't expect one either. One driver to take note of, Christopher Matthews, is off the racetrack. We noted his contact with the wall earlier. He is off and perhaps done for the night as Stroll goes for 3rd.
Chambliss not giving him that much room, but just enough that the 8's able to get by. Chambliss just can't hold that. He can't hold the throttle down there because he's just going to go right into the outside wall, so has to let Stroll go, and that is for 3rd.
He will go through. Chad Simpson and Tom Bourne, they're trading spots for 6th place. Out up front, championship leader Shane Terrian leads now by 9/10 of a second. 42 laps into this race, so he has a pretty safe lead. As we see that, the flashing, that's the concern for me, Connor. We haven't really seen that be a problem for Terrian so far this year, but you don't want it to start being a problem right now.
You never know when I guess storms might be able to pop up as ping and quality and everything looks fine, so just a bit of a scare there. Regarding pit stops, I don't believe these fuel tanks on a 1.5 miles like this can go 67 laps to halfway, so I expect a lot of people to start coming down in the next lap or 2 or 3, somewhere around there. You would kind of want to go around lap 45 and lap 90 to the end.
So Shane Terrian, as it stands, if he finishes 7th or better at halfway, it's game over. He wins and he clinches. So I think Shane Terrian is looking pretty solid as he scrapes the wall just a touch. Colin Fambro in the 5 car is chasing him down. There was a 10th quicker last time by the stripe.
I think Terrian, that might be him pushing for his in lap here, getting ready to really, soar into the pits here. We really don't know. But that 5, I didn't expect him to be a really contender starting back there. He started 5th, kind of fell back a little bit, but he is strong on this long run.
Tom Bourne, some damage on the right side of that car that we didn't see before. Hayden Pistorius. Ooh, where did he's? I think he might have just had a spin. He is on the apron, and I don't know if he's leaving pit lane. I don't remember seeing him on there.
I'm not sure. Brian Chambliss isn't at the moment, though.
Big timing and scoring hang up here, so might have to restart that, which is strange. But he's got some damage to that right side. I think that might have led to the situation that we're seeing now.
I'm actually looking at it right now. At a turn, he hit the wall at a turn 4, just pushed the car too hard at a turn 4, slipped through the grass, was able to save it, no yellow, but all that track position gone.
So trouble for Hayden Pistorius. It's not going to be the night that he wanted. While I work on closing the timing and scoring off software, I'd like to get that restarted. See Chad Simpson peeling off, as does the 8 of Michael Stroll. I like the undercut strategy here. If you can get in front of Shane Terrian and bury him in the order a little bit for the halfway, you can at least prolong his clinching of the championship. I think that's an opportunity and a possibility.
Yeah, they're really just hoping for a penalty from Terrian, but I would assume this would definitely get the 8 and maybe even the 42 out in front of the 83 and the 5, as Fambro's going to do the exact same thing that they did a lap late, but he's going to be able to undercut Shane Terrian here.
Coming back into the middle of the pit strategy, the pit sequence here. Fambro peels off. Now Mitch Welker cycles up to 2nd. If I'm Mitch Welker, Connor, I really like staying out longer on the runs because Welker is one of those drivers that has been able to preserve those tires and make them last longer than most other people. So I like the idea of him staying out just a little bit.
Oh, sorry there. We had a spin on the pit road. Travis McQuiston spun in pit road. He just reset now. I'm not sure what happened. He was very deep on the pit road when he spun. I don't even know what happened. Mitch Welker's going to come in right now.
Here's a look at it as we'll catch him coming through 3 and 4. I think he was approaching the 24. He just gets loose coming out of turn 4. I don't think he meant to come down to pit lane. Got loose and then got halfway down.
At that point, it's already a penalty. Sorry. And at that point, it's already a penalty, so he just decided to call it a day.
So Mitch Welker hits pit lane. Shane Terrian stays out on the racetrack. So Terrian's playing the long game, but if he's not 7th or better at the halfway point, then he won't clinch the championship. I mean, he'll still be in a great position to do so. But at least this would prolong assigning a championship winner.
He's really the only one going this long on the tires up at the front. Robert Kenny is second, 10 seconds behind. Riley Thompson, Mitch Welker. Mitch Welker's, I believe, the first one on tires, about 16 seconds back, and Terrian's going to stay out another lap here. I guess playing the long game, I think he just wants to be on the offensive here.
I like that strategy. I don't think it hurts. I mean, this puts him in a great position for the end of the race. And I think if he wanted to come in, get tires, stay on sequence, get back out, and lead at the halfway point, he would clinch the championship there. But I think he'd like to clinch the championship and win the race, and I think he can still do that pretty easily. So we'll see if he decides to come down sooner or later. Looks like he's going to elect to come this lap. Here he comes.
So he's going to go, looks like he's probably going to go 50-50, so his next stop will probably be at around 100. That would have been a good strategy if the yellow came out as well, trap a lot of people lap down, especially his competitors for the win, like the 25 at Chambliss and 5 at Fambro.
Yeah, I just don't think we see the random factor of cautions at Texas like we did at places like Atlanta or elsewhere. I don't think we're going to see that tonight, so I think this is a pretty safe strategy. Is to come in, get tires, roll back out, and plan on this race going green to the end. I think that's pretty safe. Travis McQuistion done for the night. We're down to 14 runners on the racetrack. And again, 12th or better is all Terrian needs. We're getting pretty close to the point where he can't mathematically lose.
Also, Hayden Pistorius has called it a night after his incident. So we got 2 drivers who didn't start. We have, I believe, 4 drivers who are out of the race after starting. I think the lowest running right now out of everyone still on track might be Finian there in 14.
So the halfway point of this race will be assigned at the start of lap number 68. You'll see the 24 Bressi working through. Bressi lost some time on the pit cycle. Not exactly sure how or why, but found his way down the order and will have to claw his way back.
I'm not really sure what happened there. I'm trying to see when he stopped. We didn't really catch that. He did stop on lap 45, lap 44, lap 45, around there. So he really fell back a long ways, but I'm not sure why he fell that far back. Oh, David Mott Jr. spinning at a turn 2. The yellow's out.
Caution is out, and Mott Jr. the one that's going to go for a loop here. And that kind of introduces a random factor because Shane Terrian was on the lead lap, but not the race leader. So that introduces a lot of questions.
Robert Kenny, who I believe was the leader, just hit. I think Riley Thompson, who's still on track, is the leader now.
There's a look. Just gets loose. Just the car steps out, turns around, and caution comes out. So not really a whole lot to decode there. But with that introduces some strategy here, Connor.
I believe so. It's going to be pretty big for Riley Thompson because there's not going to be a lot of guys who are going to want to, pit this early. A lot of drivers probably don't want to pit. We might see maybe the 83 stay out because he did just come to pit road and he wants to keep that track position. But that's big for Riley Thompson. Also, I believe the 30. It's just really big for Riley Thompson. He might have been the last one out there.
So closing in on the halfway point here at Texas Motor Speedway for the season finale of the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. And as we approach the end of the season, we're going to crown a champion. We'll be back with Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series action in January. And of course, things won't be gone for too long here, Connor. But it's been a pretty good season. We've gone to a bunch of really cool racetracks and had some really solid racing. But now it's time to kind of cap things off. And Shane Terrian, again, the consistency has been there. And as we come to our first caution flag of the night, I think we're going to see some cycling out here to see how things work out. Looks like Terrian actually will lead this race.
He did stay out. He did just come down to pit road, so he really only has a lap on the tires, which might even be better for him. He gets the tires warmed up a little bit, so that should be good for him. I believe Chad Simpson stayed out, Mitch Welker, also Robert Kenny, who was on pit road as that yellow came out. That worked out big for him. He's going to line up in the 4th position. The first driver off the pit road might be Chambliss. It might be Bressi, I believe Fambro actually got him there.
Looks like Fambro will lead the race off of pit road. And Shane Terrian is out front. A handful of Supras leading the way, the front 4, all from the Toyota stable. Fambro in a Ford Mustang, Chambliss, Stroll in Camaros, then another Supra, Camaro, and Supra rounding out the top 10. So Toyota stronghold at the top of the order at the moment here, Connor, but of course I think things are going to cycle out at some point. I think we'll get a more even distribution. It seems like everyone's sort of on the same page, at least with the Toyota badge on the nose.
Yeah, the drivers who really got fortunate, depending on how the yellows fall at the end of a race, it's going to be the 34 of Robert Kenny, not in the 56 of Riley Thompson. They have 3 tire sets left compared to everyone else who already pit under that green flag run, who only have 2 sets left. So that could come into play at the very end of this one. Still got a long way to go.
So we should get the 1 to green this time by. The lights should extinguish atop the pace truck. They will not, so we'll stay another lap under caution. I think with that, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back for the restart here on Sim TV. Hang tight. Doubling up for the restart here in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series finale here on Sim TV. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn tonight. 57 laps into a 134-lap race. Halfway in about 10 laps. If the 83 finishes now 10th or better the way things have cycled, he'll be good for the championship clinch. So, as the field rolls onto the back straightaway here, Connor, this has just been basically discussing how Shane is going to win the championship, not if. So I think we've pretty much decided, unless there's a catastrophe for the 83, he's going to be your 2020 Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series champion.
Yeah, it's looking likely that's going to be the case, but you really never know. He's going to be on a lap older tires than these guys. That really shouldn't come into play a whole lot, but you really never know. He might get swallowed up on this restart, but I believe he's going to get a big jump. He's going to pick the outside to keep Chad Simpson behind him.
Lap number 58 will be 11 to the halfway point. Pace truck peels off at Texas Motor Speedway, the Lone Star State. Green flag back in the air, a big slowdown on the inside. The outside goes, and the teammates up front take off.
Trying to see how many cars we have left on this restart. I believe Riley Thompson's the last car with 13, and we got Shane Terry's going to take the lead here. Apparently Robert Kenny said over the radio that he did get a black flag, but it did just get cleared. Oh, he's into a wall.
Oh, that got dicey at the exit of turn 2. There's a 42 and 34 battling for second. Brian Chambliss following into turn number 3. Look at Mitch Welker creeping up into the top 5. He's been great on long runs. He'd love to come up here and spoil the party as the 42 drifts wide. So does the 34. And that teal and blue 76 peels his way through into the top 5.
This is exactly what Shane Terry needed. Just one lap, and look at the lead he's got. About half a second over that battle for second that Brian Chambliss is going to get.
The exit of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Look at the 5-car peel over to the left. He's going to get a run on the 34 of Robert Kenny. Stroll tries to go middle. He backs out. McConis has to be patient. Thomas Bressi just nowhere to be found tonight towards the front of the field. I just don't think he's got it tonight. The pace has not been there, and he was already in an unfavorable position coming into the night.
Yeah, only a few laps left to that halfway stage break. These guys, those two right now, they're in desperation mode. They see that 83. I don't know if they really know the point situation, but I think they know that this would really be the end of their championship hopes if that 83 held on to win this.
I think you're right. I think they know that this is kind of a desperation situation at this point. Shane Terrian, I mean, I think they knew coming into the night that this was going to be a big hill to climb. And so I feel like in their minds, they probably already sort of resided to understanding that they weren't going to have an opportunity to win this race. I just don't think they realized it was going to be this bad of a smackdown as Terrian has been dominating tonight. He has led 43 of the 61 laps that we've run so far.
He's definitely looking likely to get the most laps led. Chambliss, the others who led, Bresci, I believe, Chambliss, a few others just haven't led even near the amount of laps that the 83 has tonight. And it really, as far as Michael Stroll's race goes, it hasn't been that bad of a beatdown. He doesn't have the short run pace by any means, but he was catching up to the 83 on the long run, so that's a bit of a positive to look at there. But with only about five and a half laps to go before the halfway points, I think they know this is it.
Here comes Mitch Welker for third on the inside of Chad Simpson. Door to door, side by side with Colin Fambrough watching from behind, trying to figure out which lane goes where. Looks like Welker's through, and Simpson going to try the crossover, but he just can't build the run. Now Fambrough going to take fourth spot away.
Whoa, Lakatos really blocked Bresci hard. Almost got turned through the dogleg there. Bresci, bit of a crossover there. The 50 had to get the position back.
Oh, Bresci chucked it down in there. I don't think Lakatos liked that very much. These guys are sparring for position, and it's only for seventh. I feel like Bresci's getting caught up in battles that just don't matter.
I think the 50's just got to realize with the 24, I know it's not that big of a fight at this point, but he's got to realize that the 24 is in desperation mode. Got to be a bit cautious around the driver who's just going for it all with one fatal swoop. What is Stroll going to do? He might have looked 3 wide there, but instead he lifts.
And Fambrough took that big run he had all the way up to Welker, and he wants third place back. Once upon a time, I think these guys were teammates. No longer the case as Fambrough goes the long way around. And he's going to have that head of steam.
Oh, he's going to go 3 wide through the middle here. I don't know if that's good. No, he's going to get in front of Fambrough. Only 2 wide here, trying to go around the outside of Mitch Welker. It's not really going to work. No grip up there. They're going to get really tight in front of him.
Welker threw a big block on the back straightaway. He was ready to defend that, and he certainly did. But now he's still under attack. The defense wasn't quite strong enough to off-put Stroll from trying the same thing again, so he's still there fighting. The battle for third is intense. 2 tenths between the race leaders at the front as we are 3 laps from halfway.
Right, Chambliss looks strong on this short run. I think he wants those points. I think he wants to get up in the order a little bit. He's got a big run in the turn number 3 on the 83 at Terra, and you know he's going to race the 83 with respect here, but he's looking much faster. These two are just miles ahead of the rest of the field as Fambrough finally clear with that third spot.
Lakatos now knocking on the door. He'd like to put himself in position to get by Welker or Stroll, but has nowhere to do it right now. Way up the road, you see the green and gold cars, right nose to tail. A tenth between them, and that's the battle for the lead. We'll take you there in a moment. As for the top spot, Chambliss has a run. He tucks back in line.
Big block. Mitch Welker going to the very bottom down that backstretch to keep his position, not letting Bresci try anything, as it's Casey Lakatos on the outside now trying to get that
slip
position. He hits the apron, Welker does, really loses momentum. Now he's got Bresci behind him with a big run.
Yeah, Mitch Welker sliding the wrong direction after an initial charge after the restart. 2 laps to the halfway point. Actually make that 1 to go. And Shane Terrian, if he finishes this lap, he will clinch the championship. Big slide through turn 2.
And Chambliss kind of gave him a bump there. He really wants, this first place. He's going to dive into turn number 3. He's going to clear. Is the 83 going to try a crossover? I think he might, but he's not going to have enough momentum.
Across the line at the halfway point of the season finale, Shane Terrian has accumulated a lead that is too big for any driver to overcome. And Shane Terrian is your 2020 B Season Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series champion.
Yeah, we obviously want to end the race before, I'm sure he wants to end the race before he does any celebrating. He wants to, he really wants to, do the double,
I don't think he knows. He probably doesn't even know that he's the winner, but we certainly do.
Very true. Yeah, we got the statisticians up here. There's no reason to tell him because he's just probably won't go for the win. We want to see him race for this win because he's going to have a really good battle with this 25. Chambliss looks sharp on these runs.
Now, here comes Tyler Hensley up the inside of Mitch Welker, and he goes through to that position, so Welker drops to 8th. That frustration's got to be setting in now. Welker is going the right direction, and now one of the slowest cars on the track.
No, the guy trending up is Casey Lakatos in that 50. He's gone all the way up to the 4th position. Really didn't see him at all that first run, but he's really made his way up to the front, looking sharp. as well on the short run, along with his teammate Chambliss there, sort of semi-teammate there. The 50 is looking very strong.
Working lap number 70, just about a half hour of racing remaining. Chambliss I'm sure he would love to grab a race victory. He's going to have a tough guy to beat. I don't think anybody's better than the 25 other than the 83. So I think if Terrian can beat Chambliss, if Chambliss can beat Terrian, I think he wins the race.
Yeah, I think that's really all he's got to compete with. Mitch Welker threw a big block on Robert Kenny. Kenny on the freshest tires of anyone. He might be on the same tires as Welker, but he had a big run and Welker was not having any of it. Look at Bressi, still struggling. I think he's just losing a spot to Tyler Hensley.
Remember, Kenny was all the way up at the front at the restart. He dropped all the way to 9th, so he's been going the same direction as Welker. Now going back forward, there is a defensive move again. Kenny jukes to the right to try to drive by. Welker moves up slightly to protect, but I think Welker's just slipping the wrong direction. It's hard to stop the bleeding here.
Yeah, it's really tough defending that bottom line out of a corner. You basically have to park it to stay on the very bottom of the racetrack, especially out of a flat corner like turn 2. And it can get you turning sometimes like it almost did right there. We see if something similar might happen because he is not giving the 34 the bottom.
Up the road for third place, Casey Lakatos. How about the run he's having tonight? He's going for P3 on the bottom of Colin Fambro. This is a great run for the number 50. It's not been a season necessarily to write home about. He's in the Fuel Finals, but was never really a factor for the championship as the 5 nicks the wall at the exit of turn 4. He's through.
Really, he really hasn't had the season that maybe you expect from Casey. Only about 4 top 10s all season long here, as he's up to that 3rd position now. No, it's not a single top 5 all season long. He really wants to end on a high note here, because for him, for his standards, it's been a bit, to be honest, it's been a bit of a struggle.
Welker loses another spot to Robert Kenny. That puts him all the way back to 9th place at the tail end of the top 10. Getting down to the last 60 laps or so. Up out front, Brian Chambliss extended his lead. Shane Terrian was 3/10 off last lap. Must have made a mistake or slip. It was actually the slowest car on the racetrack all the way back to 8th. So that was a big mistake for the 83. But again, doesn't matter. He's just out here for the win at this point.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to the end on a long run that he would be the winner. Chambliss definitely looking more strong on that short run, but the 83 might have more short run pace, but he hasn't had really any reason to show it right now. He's just kind of biding his time, just waiting for the right time to strike and use those tires up.
So we're a couple laps away from being able to make it to the end here on fuel. What time do you think you see people hit pit lane? Are we expecting lap 100 again, or you think a little bit before or after?
I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see him a little bit earlier. Yellow came out around lap 55. You kind of want to split it in half a little bit. So I think if you want to split it around halfway, I think around lap 95 would be the right way to go. And Terrian's strategy did earlier. You might go even 10 laps longer than that, and Chambliss might hit at around 90. So I think there's going to be a lot more spread out strategies on this round of pit stops.
Bressi now under attack from Robert Kenny. Michael Stroll and Thomas Bressi came into the night needing to basically win the race or have a very, very good race up in the top 2 or 3 and have Terrian essentially crash. And Stroll and Bressi just have not had that luck on their side. They've not also had the pace to go with it. So valiant effort again, but it'll elude them championship-wise this season. Here comes the 34 up the inside of the 24, and that'll be a pass for 7th.
Yeah, 24 just does not have it. This is not the race he needed. When he really needed his best race of the season, he just hasn't been able to show up. Doesn't have the pace. Doesn't even have that much pace on the short run for the time being right now. And he's just really ailing on these tires when it comes down to a long run. Having to pinch the 34 almost to the apron just to keep a little bit close, trying to keep that position, but he just has nothing to fight with.
Across the line, 185 miles an hour off into turn 1. Kenny rockets through. He'll take that spot and complete that pass. Back up Michael Stroll in 5th place. Trying to track down Colin Fambro just a little bit. Trying to reel him in, but gap has been sort of constant the last few laps.
Bressi back under the 34 of Kenny. Not sure if the 34 made a mistake, but Bressi's going to be able to get that position right back. Bressi had a bit of a crossover move through 1 and 2 to get that one.
It's kind of settling into a groove. You just hear the off throttle time at this point. Once you get fairly deep into a run, Connor, it's all about kind of getting into a rhythm, and this place is so line sensitive that a rhythm is very important. Think a lot like Bristol, right? Like Bristol's a track that it can kind of take a lot of bandwidth for a driver. It's mentally exhausting, but once you get into a groove, it sort of becomes second nature. It's muscle memory to get around a place like that. And I think this is kind of the same way. It's once you get into a groove in a long run, your throttle points, your brake points, if you're touching the brakes to help rotate the car, all become very automatic and autopilot. And I think that's what's going to get you to the end of this race here without burning up your tires. If you're trying too hard, it'll certainly bite you.
Yeah, this is a kind of one of those tracks you don't expect that to be the case, but you definitely get into a groove and you just zone in. I usually experience that at short tracks. Once you're at a short track, especially with how close the turns are, like tracks like Martinsville, like Bristol, like Richmond, those turns are so quick and, you know, back and forth and back to back right next to each other. You get into that groove, you're just in the zone, and because of how unique this track is, how unique Texas is, you kind of do the same here with how you sort of have to finesse turns 1 and 2 of how the banking is, and how you have to just absolutely motor through turns 3 and 4. You can definitely get into a groove like you would at a short track. It is very taxing, but once you're there, you're there.
Working lap number 82 of 134, about a second between Brian Chambliss and Shane Terrien. However, Shane Terrien is actually slower than the third place car. Casey Lakatos continues his climb forward, and Lakatos is right now the fastest car on the racetrack.
Yeah, we'll see in about 10 laps or so how the tires are looking. We'll see if the 50 starts dropping back at any point, but he's still looking sharp. That pace is staying strong as he's going to get that second position. This is a big climb on the restart since that restart happened. He's climbed a long ways up from where he was running before the yellow.
And you feel like Superman when you're on a run like this, and Lakatos just has something figured out. And a little slower that lap because he was dealing with getting by Shane Terrien, 31.801. But you feel like Superman, and I'd like to see if he could run down Brian Chambliss. But Colin Fambrough is also running some pretty stout lap times as well from third. So as Terrien now drops to fourth place. A lot of shifting and moving around. I thought this would be harder to pass tonight, Connor. It doesn't seem like passing has really been that big of a struggle once these guys get into a run.
Yeah, it seems like you have those comers and goers. The guys on the old tires just really struggle to battle with anything, and the guys who have saved their tires a little bit are able to make those moves at the bottom out of these turns to be able to get those runs. So it's definitely a little bit of tire saving that's coming into play with how much these drivers are able to move around to make these passes work.
I'm watching people just get to bumpers and then not having to wait. They just get it done. And that's not an experience I thought we would have at a track like this. I think New Texas has been stereotypically a pretty bad racetrack for racing by all counts, but tonight I've been pretty entertained. I think the car count's a little low, but that's sort of what happens at the end of the season. But in terms of the action, it's been quite pleasant tonight. Lap 85 of 134, and Terrien now has fifth place driver Michael Stroll breathing down his neck.
I think he sees Stroll getting behind him. I think he's just going to realize that he's going to have to pick up the pace a little bit. Obviously, we believe that it's pretty much 100% over, but you see a championship contender right behind you, you kind of figure that you got to get the pedal to the metal here.
Tom Bourne on pit lane, not exactly sure if that's a scheduled stop or not, but pretty far from the end here. About 50, just under 50 laps to go. You can make it from here. Maybe Bourne's just trying to get it done and run the rest of the race out, but I'm not sure I would have pit this early.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough. He might cycle out near the front. He has right front damage from whenever he might have hit the wall, but he's really going to be struggling at the end of run, and where that's definitely going to be his final pit stop of the night, so he's really going to be struggling for grip by the end of this one.
We've seen lap time drop-offs well over 2 seconds. I don't think you're treating your tires very kindly to take them all the way out to the end of a 50-lap run, but that might be what Bourne's strategy is here to grab some track position in the short term. Talking about the future here of Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series action. Again, typically we've got a couple months off, but this series boots back up in January, from my understanding. So not a whole lot of time off. Don't have to go too long on Tuesdays without something to watch. Although, are we shifting to Mondays next season? I can't remember. We're shifting to Mondays.
Off the top of my head. I think it's still Tuesdays. I wouldn't know off the top of my head though.
1-5. What's a 1-5? 1-5 is a Tuesday. So yeah, looks like Tuesday's still a discussion. as we roll through 3 and 4 and onto the front straightaway. Chambliss, Lakatos, and Lakatos is actually reeling in Chambliss just a little bit at a time. That time through, slight advantage to Chambliss, and more advantage to Colin Fambrough from third.
Fernando's been able to stay there with the 50. Also, the 83's kind of settled down right behind the 5. Meanwhile, Michael Stroll's really fallen off the last couple laps. Not sure what happened. Maybe mistake after mistake, but he's lost at least a second and a half to that 83 as he's falling back to Tyler Hensley.
Mitch Welker hits pit lane in the 76. He will roll to a stop. And that will be his final stop of the night. He'll just bank on getting a little bit of luck to get some track position back. Thomas Bressy about to lose 8th place to Robert Kenny. That would certainly be a wrong direction for the 24 car to go. We have not seen the pace out of this car tonight. And I think you have to be consistent to win a championship here in Fuel. And he's been hit or miss, it seems like, this season, Connor.
Also, Chad Simpson came in to hero that time by. But yeah, he's just... The inconsistency just really starts to kill you when you come down to a chase like this. You have to be on your game. Consistent top 3s, top 5s. Michael Stroll's going to hit pit lane this lap, but you got to be able to finish at the front every single race. And there's just been too many instances, whether he hasn't had the pace or he's gotten caught up in pointless wrecks. There's just been moments here and there throughout the season where he just wasn't able to, really perform when he really needed to most.
For the race lead, here comes Casey Lakatos. This is going to be a big moment for this young man. If he can go out there and take the lead away in a Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series race, that would be a goal for him. He laid the bumper to the 25 car as they come out of turn 4.
I feel like they're at least semi-teammates, so I'm kind of surprised by that. They're going to shove the 25 down the front straightaway. He's got no time to waste. Fambrough's been looking like the fastest car on the track on these long runs compared to a lot of these drivers, so the 50's got to go. Look at the run he gets through the middle of 1 and 2.
Yeah, he's stuck to the white line as well. Look at the run at the exit. The 25 is going to stay left. Lakatos stays right as they come up off the corner. Side by side for the race lead. The Sim Motorsports number 50 Supra and the Outsider Racing number 25 Camaro. And can he get this done on the outside in 3 and 4? That would be unbelievable.
That would be very difficult. I'd be amazed if he's able to make it stick. I don't know how hard Chambliss is going to drive him. You see, he does not want to be on the outside through 1 and 2, just completely backs out. He's got to get going here. That 5 is coming.
Look at the run that he got through the middle of 1 and 2. He backed it up and throttled her down out of the exit at turn number 2. He'll have to go right again. Fambrough chasing them. The Lakatos is going to take him all the way to the fence down at the bottom of the racetrack.
You see the 25, he can go to the 50, can go to the outside all he wants, but at the end of the day, Chambliss is not going to give him that bottom line. He's going to hit the apron, and now here comes Fambrough and the 83 of Terrian all over him. The 50 had his shot, he couldn't take it. Here comes Terrian for third.
Terrian wants the P3 back as the 5 car had to lift for a moment. Terrian goes back to the 3rd spot, working lap number 94, and the champion, the newly crowned champion, sits in 3rd and about to go run down 2nd and 1st, but Fambrough gets another good run. 1, 2, 3, 4 Chambliss, Lakatos, Terrian, and Fambrough down the backstretch.
Oh, Terrian's going to chop the nose of Colin Fambrough. Don't really want to do that to the 5, but he's able to make it work. I think the 83 realized that they were starting to get stacked up behind the leader, and it's time to pounce. Fambrough, he knows it's time to pit and get that undercut. He comes into pit road that lap.
I like that strategy. I like Fambrough's strategy a lot. Chambliss and Lakatos, they're busy racing each other, but maybe they should focus on the task at hand, and that's beating everybody else. I think Lakatos is faster. Chambliss is just kind of delaying the inevitable here.
Thomas Bressy had a big save out of turn number 4. It's actually an amazing save that he made there. But meanwhile, that race is really heating up for the lead here. I got to wonder, Terrian might just want to pit here to avoid a potential wreck, but he's going to stay behind him, and Lakatos has got the best advantage he has ever had at a turn number 4 here. He's got the advantage on the line. Finally leads a lap.
But can he maintain that lead on the outside in turn number 1? He's going to have to try. Going to keep the left sides in the rubber, but he's got the right sides in the marbles. He can't hang on. Chambliss back to the bottom. He retakes the lead.
There's just nothing on that outside lane. No matter how much passing happens through that corner, the 25, he just keeps it on the bottom there. There's just no way the 50 can get by him unless he just moves him up the racetrack. I don't think Casey wants to do that, but he's been very aggressive so far.
1, 2, 3, Chambliss, Lakatos, Terrian. One of the cars dropped out. And for the lead, the 50 car jukes right, jukes back left to tuck back in line. It's a battle for the top spot here at Texas.
Got to pace himself. He's got to try really hard to keep the car on the white line, maybe move the 25 up the track. And meanwhile, actually, now this lap, Chambliss just said over the radio he's going to pit, so the 50 is going to go to the outside, and he's finally going to take the lead, as I don't think he's going to react with the 25 pitting.
But job complete for Chambliss. He was able to hold off the 50 and bring the 83 back into the fight. So the 25 peels off to hit pit lane. Lakatos, this time through, he will lead his 2nd lap of the night.
I'm sure the 50 would have wished he was actually able to pass him earlier when he caught him, so he could have gotten a bit of a gap over Terrian, but now he's going to have to fend off the 83 until they finally make their final pit stop.
I think Lakatos is quicker. I think he's the quickest car on the racetrack right now, but now the pit stop is going to kind of reset everything and put everyone back on equal footing. But Lakatos will have the upper hand after he hits pit lane because he'll have the better tires for the last run. I always am nervous about overcuts when we only have 30-ish laps to go, and we're getting to that point here, Connor. You need to leave yourself enough time to utilize the fresh tires you put on.
It really comes down to just monitoring how big the fall off is. If you're able to get the numbers pinpointed down and know when you need to pit, when your last lap is, I think that's when you really know when you're on the top of your game when it comes to an overcut. That's the only time it can really work. Otherwise, you're kind of just guessing on numbers, trying to get out of the pits, in and out of the pits best he can. In case Lakatos calls pit in here.
Oh, that was tight as Terrian hooked the bottom coming out of turn number 4. Lakatos hits pit lane. Big slide there for a moment, but he's gathered it up.
That could be big. He really sent it in the pit lane, while Chambliss really was very conservative on his pit entrance, so that could gain the 50 enough time to maybe get out in front of that 25 despite the undercut. We'll have to see here.
Tom Bourne squeezing on by the 34 car. No, an actual pass for position there as Tom Bourne is a lap down because he's already made his final pit stop of the night. Terrian going to peel up underneath the 8 car and hit pit lane. And a nice smooth entry for him. Woes it down.
Definitely a faster entrance by the 50, but definitely a more controlled entrance by the 83. It's what a lot of experience doing this really gets for his. The 50 is actually coming out of pit road right now, and just right there in turn 1, the 25 is going to blow right by him.
Lakatos seemingly pretty efficient in the pit lane area. We'll see what this gets him. Ryan Chambliss has already gone by. He's up the road a little bit. That's a fairly sizable gap, but we know how much only a couple lap difference in tires can make on pace. As Shane Terrian's still in the box, Chambliss on the front straightaway will easily take the lead, or what will cycle out to be the lead, away from the 83, but can Terrian's tire difference make up for that?
We haven't seen that much short run pace shown by the 83 quite yet, but we'll definitely, the 44 Hensley, a big moment through turns 1 and 2, really came up slow on the 34 Kenny.
Oh!
Lakatos is going to force it 3 wide.
That was a big moment for Lakatos. Turned it hard left to get by both the 44 and the 34. He gets through one, has to deal with the other. That will cost him some time and some tire, but an amazing move to get to the bottom and make that pass happen.
He's got no time to waste here. Tyler Hensley undercut a lot of people this last time by. Hensley, see if he fights, he's going to give him the bottom here. So 50 has no time to waste. He had to make that move, has to get up to the 25 before the 83 gets up to him.
And Lakatos is through the 44 car into 9th place. And keeping an eye on Chambliss, he is up the road a little ways now. And Robert Kenny still out in front, has not yet made his final stop of the night. Riley Thompson in the same scenario. Michael Stroll has already made his stop about 12 laps ago, so he's just trying to pull the undercut big time. I don't see that really working. He's already about 8/10 off his best time.
Kind of reminds me of that virtual racing league race at Indy where you had air cut and really undercut everyone and get out to the lead. You had Jordan Ashton sort of in the middle in terms of strategy, and then it was me who really tried that overcut and was barely able to make it work. Terrian's kind of in that position where he's going to have a limited amount of time to make all that time back up to Chambliss and Lakatos. Lakatos is sort of in the middle. He's got the best of both worlds, but the 25 is going to be on the defensive for the rest of this race.
Yeah, Brian Chambliss is running about 7/10 of a second faster than Michael Stroll at the moment. The gap between them is only about 4 seconds, a little bit less than that, 3.3. So Stroll is in a bad position. Unless we get a caution flag, that totally changes the landscape of this. We've only had one so far, and it was for a freak spin at the exit of turn number 2. Or 4, I believe it was. Again, I don't think it's going to be drama from a caution standpoint unless something really crazy happens.
Another person to note in this battle, we almost forgot about Colin Farnborough. Farnborough did that sort of extreme undercut. He got out in front of the 25, running pretty decent lap times, not slow enough where the 25 I don't think is going to blow by him. And Farnborough probably wants this win more than a lot of other drivers, so he is going to fight Chambliss to the end.
I think he will. Comes across the line. That time by was a 30.799, 3/10 better for Chambliss. I think Chambliss will get there, but Farnborough could end up in the top 2 or 3 by the end of this. Lakatos still has a lot of work to do to catch back up to Chambliss.
Well, Robert Kenny's going to come into pit road now. Riley Thompson's going to be the one to take the lead, also going along, just trying to catch a potential yellow. And then I believe, Michael Stroll did the extreme undercut, and that's where Fambro and Chambliss, they're catching him already. While the 76, 42, and others have a long way to go to get to the 8.
Season-long battle in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series is all coming down. At least in the final race to the last 20 or so laps, the championship has already been decided. The 83 of Shane Terrien at the halfway point clinched the 2020B Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series championship. He's just going for the win now, and I'm sure he's trying just as hard to win that as he did to try to win the championship. Brian Chambliss has caught Fambro. This is for third. This will cycle to be second. And there's the lead. Stroll up the road. That will be what cycles to be the race lead.
Yeah, Chambliss really had to squeeze his way to the bottom there. I thought he was going to get a taste of his own medicine with Fambro just hogging that bottom line like Chambliss did to the 50 of Lakatos, but the 5 just couldn't hold that white line. And the 25 is going to have a lot of clean air once he gets past his 8 to maybe put a little bit more extra distance between him and the 50.
Brian Chambliss has never won in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. If he passes one more car and runs about 25 more laps, he's there. He'll get that victory, but it's going to be a tall order, especially when he's got drivers like Lakatos and Terrien charging from behind a couple tenths a lap faster. Now, looking at the way Lakatos and Terrien are running, I'm not convinced that their tire difference or their tire advantage will last in the same capacity that it does right now as Chambliss goes through to second. So I like Chambliss's position. I think he's got track position, which is going to be where I think you want to be out front. I think you're going to have to make people pass you. And Lakatos and Terrien only have better tires by 2 or 3 laps.
The half a second difference from the 25 to the 50, and we saw on that last run how good Chambliss was at defending that bottom line. Lakatos didn't want to go to the top. He was forced up there. He has a bit of a tire advantage, but even still, is he going to risk passing on the outside, opening the door for Terrien to maybe make a 3-wide move? Because the 50's not on his own. The 83's catching him faster than the 50's catching the 25 right now.
Bressy and Mitch Welker run 8th and 9th. They started the season with a little bit of a beef, and they've managed to avoid major conflict for the rest of the season. They now run 8th and 9th. As Chambliss's last lap, a 31.045, and what I want to bring up is a comparison now between Chambliss and the 50 car of Casey Lakatos, because what I think we're going to see, the delta there, Lakatos as they come across the line, quicker by half a second that time through.
James Terrien, I thought his advantage would be a bit better over the 50, but 50 and the 83, Terrien and Lakatos pretty much running similar laps. It's going to be a matter of who is more effective at getting by these cars. The 50's got to make quick work of everyone in front of him. Michael Stroll, Colin Fambro, and obviously Chambliss. Even Riley Thompson if he stays out long enough for them to catch him.
Got a squeeze down the inside of the 8 car. Stroll made that work. Terrien is not that much quicker, but he is a little bit quicker than Casey Lakatos. I just don't know if it's quicker enough to make it easy to pass him. But I think if Lakatos can get in front of Chambliss, and Chambliss will fight, I know will fight everybody hard. Lakatos can pass the 25, maybe the 25 will keep Terrien busy long enough for Lakatos to go out there and win his first ever Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series race.
Got a bunch of hungry drivers at the front. Chambliss trying to get his first win, but in my opinion, he's probably pretty cool right now. Fambro sees that lead slipping, the effective lead slipping away. He's trying to keep his track position. Yeah, Casey Lakatos, I assume he is very nervous. He's not only trying to pass the 25 and a couple others, but the 83 is all over him right now, and he's got to make quick work of these guys, so he's going to almost shove Fambro up the racetrack.
Yeah, he's going to probably complete this pass down here in turn 3. He's been taking no prisoners when they get down here. Look at him launch this car off in here. And he should have it. As you see Riley Thompson peel off, he has lost the lead and lost the opportunity to claim the lead on a caution, so he'll have to hit pit lane, get fuel to run to the end. Here's Terrien now going through Fambro, squeezes down the inside of that number 5 Mustang.
I think the 83 isn't as much faster, but I think he's going to be fast enough to have a look at the 50. I think he's a little bit faster than him right now, and the 50's not holding that bottom very well right now, and I think Terrien's going to be all over him. It's big. Casey's got to get them a 25 first, or else he's going to have no chance.
Lakatos had to drive a lot harder this run to grab track position than he had on the previous run with everybody right there on the restart. So I think he might have burned up those tires a little bit more. 19 laps to go, and it's a three-way fight for the lead with Terrian the quickest, Lakatos the second, and Chambliss the slowest of the bunch as they head through turn 1.
I'm surprised Colin Fernand's doing a decent job of staying up at the front with them. Look at the run the 50 has out of turns 1 and 2, but look again, the 25 not giving that bottom line up. We'll see if the 50 forces it outside already. I think he's going to. You got to be careful. Might open the door for the 83.
Lakatos going to arc it down, hits the apron.
No.
Big mistake there for the 50 car. Terrian's going to see that weakness and try to capitalize on it here on the front straight. Looks low. The 50 looks slow to block. Now Terrian up to the high side of the racetrack, but he can't roll it. He's going to have to cross him up here in turn 1. Look at the run he's going to build.
And the 50 is going to be very vulnerable here because they're going to get really stacked up behind the 25. Chambliss not giving that bottom up. Look at the 50. Gets a bit of a bumper from the 83 with that big stack up. Lakatos has got to go, but he's got nowhere to go.
Offset 1, 2, 3 like Canadian geese going south for the winner. We found our way to Texas. Nose to tail. Chambliss and Lakatos bumping through 3 and 4.
He's about to turn him. I think he's fed up. He knows he has to go, but once again, nowhere to go. He's going to probably dive to the bottom right through this dog leg. Try to swoop low. Can't do it. The 83 just setting him up at it too.
Brian Chambliss is mirror driving right now, and it's only going to last for another lap or two. I think Lakatos knows he has to go and has to go now. But Lakatos has been awful nice lately as the 25 is still defending that bottom lane.
Almost 3 wide. Every single driver taking different. He's going to
There
hit
it
him
is.
at turn 3. There it is. He's got to move up the track. Didn't work. Look at the 83, the run he's going to have to the outside of the 50. It's going to put Lakatos in a very vulnerable position.
16 laps to go. Three-way fight for the lead here at Texas. Terrian, Lakatos, and Chambliss all going for it. The front two have never won a race in the series. Terrian's won a handful and also the championship. He doesn't care. He just wants to add to the list. Lakatos and Chambliss would like to write their first line.
And this is great for Chambliss because he's letting the 50 has nowhere to go. The 83 on the outside is going to wear his tires out a lot. The only drawback to this, he's going to get dumped for blocking like this.
Here it is again. Lakatos with the bumper. He's going to slip. Here comes the 83 to the bottom of the racetrack out of turn 4. Lakatos has to leave him a lane. For second place, he throws the block.
And this might be all she wrote for Lakatos. He's going to have to really pinch him hard through 1 and 2 to have any sort of chance. He's just going to let him go here. Maybe try to cross him up.
Big slip by the 83.
Now that's a mistake you don't see out of the 83 a lot. The 50's going to have a run back at him. Chambliss is going to break that gap open again, and Colin Fernand's coming back to these two, and they're going to be dead even in the 3.
Burning up tires is all that's happening for second place right now. Lakatos back to P2. He hits the apron. Here's Fambro back to 4th.
And this is an experience coming into play. Lakatos hasn't been in a position where he has to race for a win this hard. He's hitting the apron, trying to get too much out of the car, and it's costing him valuable time.
14 laps to go. You could not have convinced me that Texas would race this way a month ago, but today it is. Look at Terrian now, the run on the outside. Lakatos has to mirror drive and also try to chase down the gold and black car out front. That's the task. That's the winner if things stay as they are.
Hey, we were calling this a 3-car race. The 5 has a better shot than pretty much anyone with how the 25 is honking that bottom line. It's bringing the 5 right back into this. Don't count Michael Stroll or Tyler Hensley back out. Who knows what can happen in these last 10 or so laps.
In a blink of an eye, the field storms by the start-finish line. 13 laps to go. Lakatos 2/10 faster than the leader. Terrian a little bit slower than Lakatos that time, but still faster overall as they come out of 2. Now Lakatos goes defensive on the number 83.
Bit of a dent on the 25 of Chambliss, but that's exactly what he wanted. Everything went into play perfectly for him. He got the gap that he sort of needed to kind of get back in line, sort of regroup himself here. But he's going to have to fend off another hard charge from that 50 machine, and I don't think he's going to play nicer.
No, I don't. I think the playing nice is over for Lakatos. This is his chance to win. He has never been in this position before, and all he needs to do is knock that 25 car off the bottom groove to do it. 12 laps to go from Texas.
I just have a feeling this is going to go very sour. He's going to probably hit him, and the 25 is not going to be able to save it. We might see a big run. Oh,
there it is.
Huge bump there. He's going to get him off the bottom. Just going to get on there. Chambliss putting him on the apron. Not contact. Chambliss does a good job pinching, but it's not going to be enough. The 50 has the line.
He's got it. Lakatos to the bottom with a huge shot to the rear. Side by side for the race lead. 1, 2, 3, 4, all separated by 1/10 of a second. Down into turn 1. Chambliss pinches. The 50 car goes through. He's got the lead here at Texas with 11 laps to go.
And Terrian's going to be able right there to get that second position. Probably not what the 50 wanted, but Chambliss got a good run at it too. He might be able to clear the 83. That is big for the 50.
Down into turn number 1. Lakatos has it. If he can keep the 25 between him and Shane Terrian, he'd be good. 10 to go. Big run for the 25.
Gonna hit him back here. The 83, does he swoop low? No, he can't. The 25 letting him know he did not like that contact. The 2-car race. Chambliss, will he put the bumper back to him? He doesn't want to.
He can't quite get there. He gave him the shot on the straightaway, then had to back off for the corner. Now Terrian filling the mirrors of the 25. Big slide for the gold and black car at the exit of turn 2. Lakatos is 15 miles away from his first victory here in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. So is Chambliss, and the 83 would just like to add to the column.
25 missed the bottom, hit that bump. That's going to give Terrian all the room he needs to get to the second position. I don't think Chambliss is going to be able to fight this one off. And it's right that time by, I think, about 9 laps to go. And this is the run of Casey Lakatos, maybe his sim racing career here.
5-car through into third place on the 25. Look at Terrian, a great run off the exit of the corner, pulling up almost even with the 50 through the center. Now Lakatos has to worry about that green and black car behind. He was good enough to win the championship. Is he good enough to win this race? 8 to go this time. Terrian throws all his eggs in one basket with all the momentum in 3 and 4.
He's going to swoop low in these dog legs, try to bait the 50 and the block in the bottom at the wrong time. He's going to swoop high. He's going to look for that run at a turn number 2 that he's been doing so well here. Just has a lot more momentum. He's got the tire advantage. He's just going to go straight up to the outside. Look at the 5, the run he gets.
Colin Fambrough is certainly back in the conversation. We thought he was out of it. He's back. Now the 83 has to defend from the 5, and now Fambrough is Lakatos' best friend as they head to turn 3.
The 25 might fall out of it a little bit here, but they're going to stay stacked up on the bottom. The 83, a mistake, hit the apron, slides up the track. Going to lose his momentum, going to give the 5 maybe a shot, maybe a run for that second position as there are only 7 laps to go.
3 minutes and 30 seconds separate Casey Lakatos from his first and only Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series win. The 5-car right to the rear bumper of the second place 83. He's got a great run here to the outside. I don't think the 83 is going to block it. Now he moves right to defend.
I think because of all those 3 racing each other, I think Fambrough might have the best tires left right now. Look at the 25 send it in. But Fambrough, I think he's in the best position for this because if the 83 and 50 start roughing each other up, he's going to be able to swoop right in and get by them both.
6 laps to go across the line. 1/10 of a second separate them. Lakatos leads, and now it's all driving out the mirror. And can he hang on with the new champion breathing down his neck?
Going to protect the bottom just like you kind of learned from the 25 there. Terrian swoops high. I think he's going to swoop low here. The 50's going to block all the way to the apron. The 83's there, has to lift.
Big block by the race leader, Casey Lakatos. It's going to check up the 83. The 5-car gets a run. Now the 50 slides up the racetrack. For the race lead, here comes the 83. Jukes to the right. Now the 5-car comes to the outside. 5 laps to go from Texas.
They say everything's bigger in Texas. I didn't expect the finishes to be better. 4 cars with a realistic shot to win it right here. Lakatos has the line. Fambrough had a shot. Nothing on the top. He's going to get a decent run. Terrian's going to look to the bottom. Chambliss just looking for something to happen.
Lakatos just needs these drivers behind him to fight. He needs to distract that he's not the leader. He's not the one you should be fighting. Fight Fambrough. Fight Terrian. Fight Chambliss. Just anybody but me as they come through 3 and 4 side by side for second place now. And that's all Casey wants to see out the mirror of that car.
4 laps to go now. I think you'd rather see Fambrough in second than the 83, but the Fambrough machine just doesn't have the grip up there. He's going to settle back into third. Actually, no. Chambliss diving down to the bottom for third. Terrian trying to get the run out of 2 to have another look on the bottom, but the 50, a strong run on the outside out of 2.
Next time by will be 3 laps to go. Terrian, Fambrough, and Chambliss all trying to hunt down Casey Lakatos. This season has been nothing out of the ordinary, nothing special. How much would it mean for Lakatos to cap it off with the most special thing of all, standing in victory lane at the Lone Star State Texas Motor Speedway? 3 to go from Texas.
Even though he's the champion, Terrian wants to celebrate just as much. He doesn't want to share the spotlight with anyone. He wants to win both outright here, but he loses a lot of time at a turn number 2. He has to check up big time. He loses a bit of time there to Lakatos. Coming to 2 to go.
All Lakatos has to do is be flawless for 2 more laps. It's a 3/10 of a second gap. If Shane Terrian can't make up a 10th and a half every lap, then he's not going to get there. The 5-car to the bottom of the racetrack. 2 to go. 3 miles left from Texas.
That block into turn 3 was risky, but it was the perfect scenario for Lakatos. It checked the 83 up so badly, it let the 5 back into the fight, almost with a shot to take the lead, and let him fight the 83 just that little extra bit longer to get the 50, a bit of a gap. Coming to the white flag this time.
This time, now a 10th and a half separates Lakatos and Terrian into turn number 3. Lakatos has to be shaking, nervous in that car with the new champion behind him through turn number 4. White flag, 1 more lap to go from Texas.
I think we're going to see Terrian swoop high and exit low again. He's not going to have a dive. There we go. He's going to enter high. Going to have a bit of a run through the center. Maybe he puts the bumper to the 50. This is really his last realistic shot. He's able to hold the bottom a little bit better, but just doesn't have the tire to rotate. About to hit the wall.
Half a lap left for Casey Lakatos. Coming through 3 and 4. Terrian, the new champion. He wants the win, drives off in, but he can't get there. For the first time ever in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series, Casey Lakatos is a race winner, and he's done it at Texas. Shane Terrian is the new 2020 Season B champion. Wow.
We waited all season for this season finale, and I think we got the finish of the year right there, of the whole season. A driver just absolutely in desperation while trying to get his first win. He's able to battle off 3 of the best drivers in the series to get that checkered flag, including the series champion. He held off for 20-something laps.
I'm so impressed with everything that he just did. Casey Lakatos stealing a little bit of the thunder from Shane Terrian, and he's going to celebrate with a burnout here for the first time in Fuel. What a drive, what a race. There's Shane Terrian, your new champion, celebrating with his teammate there on the front straightaway. Well-deserved, fair play by all. That's my favorite thing about this is there was blocks thrown, there was bumps given, but I think at the end of the day, it was all evened out. There is your race winner, and he's got to feel good.
Oh, that's going to be the best feeling he's had on the surface in a while. Winning a race like that, where you had to literally fend off the best driver in the series for multiple laps. He really didn't have any tire advantage or anything like that. He was just putting his car in the right places the whole entire time. The 83 giving him the respect that 50 driver definitely deserves.
This is cool. I love when they do this. Champion, new champion, and winner, new winner, celebrating dual donuts at Texas. And with that, the celebration's complete. Have a look at your race results. Casey Lakatos, again, his first ever victory. What a drive. I mean, I can't wait to talk to him. He's got to be so excited. And I'm proud to have stuck by his side for this entire journey of getting here, Connor. It's not easy to win these races. It's not easy. And with the Sim TV colors on the side of that car, couldn't be prouder of my buddy Casey. Shane Terrian, props to him, fair play. And first of all, what a dominant season he had. It wasn't in the wins column. He certainly won a couple races, but it was more about the consistency that he had and the ability to stay calm even when things weren't going his way. Shane Terrian, well-earned championship here in Fuel.
Yeah, no one deserved it more than him. The most consistent driver all season. I believe he only had 2 or 3 finishes outside the top 10 in all of his starts. Definitely well-deserving of that championship honor. And obviously, a big congrats to Lakatos as well. A huge win for him. I think I said earlier in the broadcast, only 4 top 10s all season long in his starts. Not a single top 5, but he came up clutch when he needed to most and performed at the highest level in Fuel.
It was so much fun to watch. That might have been the best race that I've seen. I don't know, Connor. I've seen a lot of races. The last 30 laps of that race might have been the best race I think I've seen here on the oval side, probably ever. That was pretty amazing.
And who could have expected it? We kind of just expected single file spread out racing. We had that for a long way, but the fuel strategy, the tire strategy came into play so crucial. We had 3 or 4 drivers at the front there at the end who pit completely different laps, not with each other, and they all came together at the very end to just absolutely perform right in front of us at a track that we really didn't expect to really show out as terms of side-by-side racing. We saw all of that and more.
Well, before we get into anything too exciting, I think we'll talk to one of those drivers that was involved, Colin Fambro, in the number 5 car. Colin, part of an amazing battle there at the end. Obviously, didn't quite get the victory that you wanted, but what a battle. Take us through that whole fight from the pit stop onward, because for a moment we thought you were out of it, and all of a sudden here you are battling for the lead, leading laps with 3 or 4 laps to go. Take me through your perspective.
Yeah, man, that was, oh gosh, I haven't had that much fun running these cars in a long time. I mean, that was 4 guys battling hard, giving it all they could give it, and elbows out, and everybody ran clean, and that just goes to show what you can do with talented guys up front that, you know, put an emphasis on running clean. You have finishes like that. But, man, that pit stop, I tried to undercut a little bit, hoping that would be enough, and those guys wouldn't be able to catch me, but they were able to catch me, and I think ultimately they just started battling between themselves so much that maybe they just scrubbed off some tire and kind of got a little bit, you know, back to even where I was, and then I was just able to capitalize on a couple of those guys getting sideways, you know, here and there, and was just able to get up there and battle with them. But man, that was fun.
Colin, I don't know what to say other than that was so much fun to watch, and I hope you soaked that one up, because I was telling Connor before we came back on that I think the last 30 laps of that were the best oval racing moments I think I've ever witnessed, which is saying a lot because I've watched a lot of racing. So enjoy it, soak it up, and we hope to see you back next season.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be back ready to go next year. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Colin. Going to move on now to our second place driver in the race, but I'm not sure if we should do him or let's do Casey first. I think that might make a little bit more sense. We'll have a little chat with him. Wow. I don't know where to start this, Casey, but holy crap, that was fun. Congratulations. I bet you the biggest smile in the world is on your face right now. Take me through it.
It's awesome. I said before I even came in tonight, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be fast here. If I could end the season with a win, that would just be phenomenal. And to go through tonight, I talked with Brian. We were both hanging out, chatting, just having a blast. And I asked him, I'm like, what were your tires that like pit around 96 to 100? And he said, I think 51 right front, and I had 59. And I was like, I have a chance at this. I'm saving more than the saver of the race. And I knew he was going to block me low, and I just was like, dude, I can't. I have the car. I don't know what the hell got into this 50 car tonight, but holy hell. Just wow. And I was trying to hold off Shane. I told him too. I was like, dude, I saw you coming. I knew you had fresher tires, and I was like, get the hell away from me. But it was a blast. Whew.
Well, we saw some great battling there with Brian Chambliss in the number 25 car. Obviously, you guys are fairly friendly, but it looked like it was getting pretty out of hand there. What was the conversation like? Was there any talk or discussion about that during the race, or was that just gloves off, we're going to go for it, and whoever wins, wins?
Oh, there was definitely discussion during the race. The few first bumps that I gave them they weren't too rough. I think it was about 112 once I finally caught back up to them. Just a couple little to see how much I had to give the car to make him move. But I was like, I want to race Brian as clean as I can because we always race good together. Of course, we got to deal with the ORL on Saturday now, but, just saying. But, yeah, I was like, I got to give it to him because if I wait any longer, Shane's going to get the run on the bottom on me, and there's no way in hell I'm catching Shane if he gets by me. So it was just guts check time, basically.
Casey, I don't know what to say other than I'm blown away. That was an amazing race. Congratulations. A really cool moment for me up here to watch that happen. A really cool moment for everybody watching at home. And fair play and congratulations. And good luck to you. And we'll talk to you later, I'm sure. But what a blast tonight.
Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
Congratulations.
We're going to move on now to our season champion. That is the driver of the number 83, Shane Terry. And I'm not sure at what point you knew you clinched it, Shane, but at the halfway point with your finishing position, you clinched the championship after what can only be described as one of the most consistent seasons I think we've ever seen, Shane. Congratulations. What a blast to watch you all this season, and what an amazing battle at the end.
Yeah, that was wild. I got told my team owner Matt was keeping track of the points the whole time. He was like, "So you won the championship no matter where you finish now." I'm like, "Really?" Like, he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, well, gloves off." I was like, "I'm going for the win at this point," but that was wild. Casey definitely earned that one. I wasn't gonna wreck him. I was like, I have the championship. I don't want to be that guy that's like gonna be like the cocky, jerk and just gonna move people out of the way to win, even though I have nothing to lose. So that was wild. I'm excited to go back and watch those last 30 laps. That was the most fun I've ever had in the B cars. So it was great. It's awesome. This is the end of a chapter for Sky Motorsports, as this is the final race for this team as we switch to a new team. So to get them a championship, it's pretty cool.
Shane, I speak for a lot of us here when I say that it's really refreshing to have a champion in a iRacing league that has as humble as you, is what I'm trying to say here. You've done an amazing job this season, incredible consistency, a pleasure to talk to. Congratulations on this. We hope to see you back in some capacity in the future. Wish the best for you and hope we see you again.
Yeah, thank you guys. I should be back next year. I mean, I kind of need to. I want to defend this title, so.
All right, we'll see if you can go 2 for 2. Shane, congratulations again. Thank you for talking, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. And with that, Connor, that wraps up what could only be described as one of the best races that we have ever seen. And I just don't think that there's a whole lot more that can be said about tonight. You saw it all here on Sim TV. The battles, 4-way battle for the lead with drivers that were desperate for wins, drivers that had won championships, drivers that were just wanted to finish well. A little bit of everything and a great clean battle and a one-caution race to the end. What an amazing night.
I mean, amazing doesn't even begin to describe it. I'm absolutely stunned at what I've seen. I can't honestly believe it. It's not at all what I expected from this track, but it definitely delivered. 4 drivers hungry for a win. A champion just racing them all, clean racing, bump here and there, but at the end of the day, it's just racing. A track like this you don't expect, but I mean, it was the race of the season without a doubt. Maybe the best race for Fuel in a while. You really don't know, but it was definitely, it would definitely be a classic Sim TV race in the future. And without a doubt, one of the nice guys in the series definitely won tonight. I couldn't be happier for Casey. It's been a long time coming for him, but I'm so glad for him to be able to hold off 3 of the best drivers in the series.
Absolutely. It's been an amazing race. It's been an amazing season. But that's going to do it for Fuel Action here on Sim TV for at least until the end of the holiday season. So whatever holidays you celebrate, we wish you the best, the happiness, be safe. We'll see you back in January here in Fuel. Tomorrow on Sim TV, we've got a couple things going on. CrowdStrike Racing, Assetto Corsa Competizione coverage on the CrowdStrike Racing YouTube channel, as well as the DC Region SCCA iRacing League. That will happen with Finian Nakuna and Tom O'Gorman tomorrow night. And, of course, Saturday evening, it will be Outsider Racing League action continuing with more Assetto Corsa Competizione GT Rivals action with GT World Challenge America on Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Sim TV.